everyone. Welcome to Eternal Mooncast, the streaming show all about Sailor Moon fan theories. We cover everything from the prominent to the obscure in the Mooniverse. We're your co-hosts, Michi and Azira, and tonight is co-host special.
We decided to do a co-host special because this month has been a little hectic. So we decided to go back to our little co-host special. We had a lot of fun the last time we did it.
Yeah.
And people seemed to really enjoy it. So we decided to pick a topic and we went with it. And before we start, though, always our quick Moony disclaimer. We would like to remind everyone that these are just our personal opinions. We do not in any way represent Toei or the Sailor Moon intellectual property, but we invite you tonight as we stream live on Twitch just to join us in our discussions. Also, don't forget we have a Discord where you can always jump in, get into a discussion. Let's go. We'd also like to thank our Twitch and Patreon subscribers. You help us make the Moony magic. Tonight, we delve into
The Shitennou.
Shitennou deserve better. Because Michi threw down a topic, and I was like, that one. Fucking.
You were so ready to go as
I was
soon
so
as I said this
fast
one.
because normally I'm not very quick on answering messages because I am horrible and my Facebook messages don't always pop up. And Michi said this, and I was like,
"Give me my fucking kings."
I know,
and I'm
you're so
quite
ready.
passionate about them. In other episodes, I've gotten a little about these boys.
They deserve better. Like, genuinely, this is a good topic because we need to go hard for them.
But the reason why we wanted to talk about this because we actually haven't broached the topic. This was something we were like debating whether or not we want to do is with a guest or something else. This is one of those ones where we tucked it in our pocket for an emergency. But let's see. The thing is, we're going to be going into a lot of medias for them. The Four Kings. This is Jadeite, Nephrite, Zoisite, and Kunzite, or Malachite, as they called him in the 90s, which I don't understand why they thought they'd change it. But because the stone is called Kunzite, these are Mamoru's guardians, his 4 guardians that he has, because he's a Sailor Scout on his own. So he had to have his own little menage of people. But they call them the 4 heavenly kings, but they don't actually say whether or not they are actually kings of their regions. They actually represent the 4 cardinal points, which is north, south, east, and west. That is what they represent.
Which they never get into that in the 90s anime.
No. They don't really get into much about them, which is sad because they do play an integral part of or the remake, correct?
Thank
There's
you. Once upon a
there's
Puffin.
Puffin. Puffin's coming in.
Yay!
Yeah, they don't. There's nothing about it. That's what they're meant to represent. They're meant to represent the 4 points. They're Mamoru's knights because they're knights, but they called them the 4 heavenly kings. We don't know if these are kingdoms on Earth that sent their own princes to protect the main prince of Earth. We don't know anything about that. I actually do not know who represents every direction. I would actually have to look it up.
Yeah, because I'm trying to Google it, and there's stuff on the actual 4 Heavenly Kings, but not on Sailor Moon.
Yeah. I don't remember what kingdoms they represent. It is meant to mirror the Sailor Guardians essentially for Mamoru, but they also she put these characters together, and you almost feel like she just tossed them aside. You have to realize that these 4 men were best friends with Mamoru. These are his best friends, essentially. These are just like the Sailor Scouts grew up with Serenity. These knights grew up with Mamoru. These are his guardians, his protectors. Kunzite is the leader of them, just like Venus is the leader of the scouts. Did you find it?
And it.
Okay.
Jadeite is the South King, Nephrite is the West King, Zoisite is the East King, and Kunzite is the North King.
Which makes sense for Kunzite.
Yes, I will put that in the description for YouTube.
Thank you. So I think why we said that they deserve better is she made these characters that were so integral to Mamoru, but end up just gone, dead.
Mhm.
She didn't go into very much detail with them when she just had these really kick-ass characters that could have stayed around. Their betrayal was very integral for the war with the moon.
Yes.
And you see that when Mamoru's betrayed and betrayed by these kings, you have to think these knights probably brought all those rebels. Like, that's why Beryl had such a powerful force, is she got a hold of them, but they don't say how she did it, how she corrupted them. It could have been the earth didn't take very kindly to the moon.
Queen
Mm,
Serenity
or-
Overlord.
You have to think. So when you think about the earth and the moon, so first of all, the moon kingdom, they're immortal.
Mhm.
What do they not have to do because they're immortal? They don't have to have children. They don't have to do all this stuff that people on earth have to do, where you have a very short time span. You don't
Yeah.
get to enjoy life as much because you're trying to make sure that shit's set up so it continues. So there's jealousy there. And that kind of, you think that kind of just twisted some people. But I also found it, because I was thinking about this whole subject earlier before we started podcast. I find it
Yeah.
really interesting. So Earth is the only one who has a treaty with the moon, but they don't have any of their warriors on the moon. Oh my goodness, so much.
I was gonna say, I'm like, our chat is blowing up. I'm like, all right, coming in with Loki. Nephrite is the king of North America. Zoisite is the king of Europe. Jadeite is the king of the Far East. And Kunzite is the king of the Middle East. And then Jadeite is red. I can't pronounce that.
Where's Jototen, South King associated with summer and fire nephrite, yellow/red. Komokuten, West King associated with autumn and metal zoisite, green. Jikokuten, East King associated with spring, so many flower petals, which that's zoisite had that. And water kunzite, blue silver. Tamilten, North King, the most powerful of the cannot say their fucking name for some tonight. It's
Let's
just
call them
not
the Four Kings. Let's call them the Four Kings.
4 kings associated with winter and earth. He was an ice queen, so that makes sense.
That adds up.
And then Jadeite, blue, Seryu, the azure dragon associated with wood, spring, and spring, and east nephrite, red, a Suzaku, the vermilion bird associated with fire. Summer and south zoisite, green, Genbu. I'm getting into Fushigi Yugi shit right now. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
The black tortoise associated with water. Winter and north. I know it's black, but I've seen modern depictions of Genbu as green because it's more colorful to be in line with others, and turtles and tortoises are cartoonishly drawn green. And then Kunzite, silver white, Byakko, the white tiger associated with metal, autumn.
All right.
So first is Chinese myth and then first is Japanese
Okay.
for second, which makes sense. Oh my goodness, Einstein.
Or
Yeah, so there's a lot of deep lore with the Four Kings. Naoko wasn't just playing around when she made them.
Yeah. But then
It's the first season. Everybody dies.
but they're the only ones that weren't brought back. Beryl doesn't matter. Like, the villains aren't going to be brought back. But they're not meant to be bad.
No. Everybody else gets a redemption.
So everybody else gets a redemption. And then and he gets his pocket rocks.
And
So Mamoru gets the rock.
yeah,
that
like the
are
actual pocket
supposedly the
rocks.
4 kings. And they can still communicate because their souls are still in the rocks. But they don't get a revival or redemption. I'm like, Usagi, really?
What is she doing?
Oh.
Yes. Oh, so we're going to, real quick, points out she had a chance to, I think you meant chance to expand or change to expand this more crystal. It made me so sad.
Yeah. They didn't bring them back. There was no reason not to. It's not that they would have hindered the story, because you would have had more people to fight with. Mamoru would have had his crew.
Mm-hmm.
And Usagi would have had hers. It very much isolates Mamoru, to be honest. to be. Do
Damn
you
it,
think
Loki.
the pocket rots explode when Mamoru died in the stars?
Oh,
No, they did not. I think they were just sitting in his fucking apartment. So I have a problem because it very much, when you look at it this way, it very much isolates him because then he is dependent on the Sailor Scouts when he could have had his own people and been fine.
Yeah.
Really cool. I don't think he took his pocket rocks with him.
A little guidance throughout the day.
But there are hints in, I think it was the manga, where like Chibiusa says she speaks to the fucking rocks.
Oh, really? Chibiusa speaks to them?
Yeah, she mentions that her father has rocks. Like they're in a special like sanctuary thing. Mamoru is a crystal bitch, listen.
That's what I was like, you're not wrong.
That she knows them and that her father talks to them and that
Mhm.
she's actually been able to talk with them or something. If I remember correctly, I think it was in the manga, like she mentioned the pocket rocks.
Yeah.
But this is like where we're starting is you had these characters that there could have been more story to them. They were there and then all of a sudden they're dead. And they actually meant something to another character. It's very weird that she went that route where she just, and then she makes the fan art with them and the scouts. And people
Wait.
were like, we could have had a relationship. That's just like that TikTok from the DuckTales. I could have been Turbo.
Because it's such a beautiful artwork. Like, it's
Mhm.
one of my favorites. Let me share
And
it.
and these are where the pairings come from. Is this artwork, the artwork specifically? Yeah. So you have Kunzite with Venus, Jadeite with Mars, Zoisite with Mercury, and then Nephrite with. It's one of my favorite arts. But this is where people were like, so they were supposed to be in a relationship? Also, Stream Elements, you are way far behind. We have been like
It's like, stream you're just joining?
just joined in the chat.
Listen, Loki, I'm working on it.
My wife over here just be like, so you pull up the smallest fucking version. It's fine.
I will fix it in editing.
So yeah, I don't know. I've never understood why that not fan art, but art from Sailor Moon was made if she was going to kill them off anyway. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding. Like, why would you draw that and hint at this relationship that apparently happened in the past?
Yeah.
And I know we wanted to go into like individuals, but I want to. So, just really quick, I'm going to talk about Crystal. So, this was the remake, Crystal.
Mm-hmm. Roasting me in the comments.
Crystal decided to play on this art. And one of the things, and this is the biggest problem I had with Crystal season 1, was the kings did not die when they were supposed to. Fucking lived. They kept them alive in season 1, and a lot of the fan base was like, are you keeping them alive? Because then this isn't a manga adaptation.
No.
They completely just went, each king was supposed to die to each scout.
Yeah.
The only one who lives is Kunzite till the end. And then he dies.
Yeah.
Jadeite dies when he kidnaps Mars during the bus thing. I forget how Nephrite dies. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
I always remember the anime death. That's the only one that's
He dies. And so does Zoisite. I think Zoisite actually dies to Mercury. I'm not sure. Those kings die during their battles with the scouts. Jupiter's like, okay, so they did die to the people that apparently they were supposed to be in love with.
Cora.
Like pussy. So the problem with Crystal was they kept the kings alive and had the entire fan base freaking out because we were like, what the fuck's going on? We get to the episode where the girls are going to go fight Beryl. Do you know what they do? They smack these motherfuckers with a giant boulder and kill them that way. As the scouts, are figuring out that they're in love with these guys.
Because Queen
That
Serenity
they had a
no one's
past. Like, they started hinting at Venus being with Kunzite and stuff like that, and their love and blah, blah, blah. And then just drops a rock on them. That's how they die in Crystal. I have never been so heated about a death in my life. Sagi's like, no one is going to fight their boyfriends, and then their boyfriends die. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I actually pulled my DVD back. Oh no, I didn't have the DVD. I was watching it online at that point. They didn't fight them. I actually went back and I was like, what the fuck? And I watched it again because I was like, are you shitting me?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what was the point of keeping them alive? It didn't serve any purpose for the story at all. It was just keeping them alive. And I don't know what direction they were going. If suddenly someone was like, hey, you can't keep them alive because then you got to keep them through the show. And that makes no fucking sense.
So throw a boulder at them?
So throw a boulder at them. I was like, why didn't you just kill them the way they were supposed to be killed?
Comedy duo. Not done yet. It was dramatic. I agree with you, Once Upon a Puffin. It was very dramatic. The boulders were not. The boulders were a time. Now, the four kings...
I don't know what just set them off. They just went fucking psycho.
Okay, no worries.
Because Loki is not home. It is 7:30.
Yeah, I was like, it's too early.
I feel like they wanted to keep them alive and everyone panicked and just like, boulder death. Because
Like,
that's what happened.
Because it's just, it's
Like,
such a frustrating way to kill him.
Like I said, it served no purpose in the storyline keeping them alive. At all. All you had was fucking everybody with their heart broken because all of a sudden the scouts were remembering their relationships with these men. And then they killed them. And I'm like, but then they didn't bring them back. And I'm just like, you know what? You're going to follow the manga and kill them when they were supposed to have been killed.
It would have been nicer in a way just to have them have their dignified deaths. But we could have gotten so much more out of them.
But again, I don't know why Naoko didn't keep them, have them be reborn, something like that. Because then she could have brought them in later as the Heavenly Kings coming back to help Mamoru. They didn't have to come back right away. They could have come back much later in the manga. They could have come back during the Galaxia arc or something. Like when Chibi Moon shows up with her 4 scouts and they could have been reawakened to come help her because they're going to protect the king's kid. Something like that. Like,
I got a point. And Sailor Moon Turtle, I know you're in the comments, so I may need your help. But they actually have a musical where the 4 kings come back and they are working with Galaxia.
I've seen that one.
It's a wild time.
Yeah, they like bring the 4 kings back and someone else, don't they?
It's Kunzite and then 3 people who suspiciously look like Jedi in the rest. It's really funny. And I'm trying to remember because Sailor Moon Turtle sent me a bunch of musicals that I watched back to back. And I'm trying to remember which one. Thank you, Sailor Moon Turtle. Which musical is it that they come back? Because I know you sent it to me and I know I watched it, but now I'm completely mixing it up.
The musicals are such a fucking like
fever dream.
Fever dream.
They're amazing, but they're a fever dream.
Sometimes with their plots, I'm like, where did you? Okay.
Thank you. No,
Stuff?
I could never. Wait, was it that one? Yeah, I think SARS, right?
La Reconquista?
I can never pronounce musicals.
No, because they use French words a lot of time. And I'm like, I don't speak French. So.
No, while we're waiting, Sora real quick comes in, making me laugh. I'm going to guess that the Senshi with the Kings was a last minute piece of art and then it became popular and she went, oops.
No, she actually mentioned it was something like that, but she also mentions that she like had the idea of them being together. I'm just like, okay, so why couldn't we have kept it? Because the only other than the musicals,
that's it. Sorry.
O.P. Korin,
Yes, that's the musical, which
Watch
it
the
happens.
musicals. I know there's a shit ton of them.
They're great.
So I know the musicals bring them back. And the musicals do a lot more with the Four Kings with the Scouts also.
Mhm.
But the only series that actually did something with the Four Kings was PGSM, the live action Sailor Moon show.
Yes.
Because PGSM let them be reborn, which was really nice. They were really stupid in their rebirth because they were like cops, and they were like neighborhood cops, and it's really dumb, but they are reborn in PGSM, which was nice. I was like, they actually get a rebirth, unlike none of the other things. I know that they come back in the musicals, but PGSM did a lot better, and they actually gave them a rebirth. And I was like, thank you. Are they idiots? Yeah. They're a little bit of a comic relief with their rebirth in PGSM.
It's
Um,
fantastic.
and it's fantastic. You're just like,
Before we get into the musicals, Z also says they are called the Neo Shitennou in that musical.
okay.
Because they're technically like the new ones. And then there's also Starlight's.
Ryusei Densu.
Yes, which may have
Densetsu.
been the other musical. So if you guys are looking for musicals, Shitennou, then highly recommend these ones. I watched them before this show, and Z also always has great musical recommendations.
I
But
need to
then
actually sit down and watch the musicals, but I'm always reading, so I'm like, when
I
do I
know
watch? When do I watch shit? The only thing I've been
to bring up the babies.
that's them. This is PGSM, and this is the Four Kings. Zoisite was my favorite, and Zoisite is the one with the white hair, and I loved him. I had the biggest crush on his character more than anybody else. Kunzite was very interesting. They had some interesting storyline with him. Just watch PGSM.
Yeah,
PGSM is like watching Power Rangers, but with Sailor Moon.
it's the best.
It's really good. I don't know where you watch PGSM.
YouTube?
Where'd you watch it?
YouTube?
Yeah, you can probably find it on YouTube. I have bootleg DVDs that had subtitles. I got it ages ago. We're talking over 15 years ago that I got these bootleg DVD.
Oh man.
Um, this was back when you could get the bootleg full disc sets on eBay for $10, and it wasn't taken down. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and
This was the only way at that time. Don't go out there looking for bootlegs. Back when I got these, this was back when PGSM was just finishing airing in Japan.
okay.
So I had no way of finding it on YouTube, unfortunately.
Z does let us know that Sea of Serenity has it.
Okay. Yeah. So go watch it there. It's fantastic. It's definitely like something, if you are legally able to drink, get some wine. Relax as you're watching the show.
Especially the transformations. Just take it in.
I love the transformation.
That's usually where we lose people, though.
Really,
That's
I
where we
love
lose people
transformations.
is the transformations.
What kills me is that Luna is a stuffed animal and so is Artemis.
Yes, and it is glorious.
And it is hilarious.
Let me see if I can find her.
And then these four kings are in it. And then Mamoru has those fucking shoulder pads, which is where they spent half the budget.
They are the whole budget. Look at that.
That was the
pad.
full budget, was everybody's shoulder pads, because then they couldn't even give Princess Serenity a nice dress. It looks like something off the clearance rack in the back of a fucking David's Bridal. With Claire's jewelry accessories. That's what it looks like.
But yet he made it look expensive.
I was just like, you guys, you went there. Okay.
Budget. The whole budget.
The whole budget is in Mamoru's shoulder pads, not the Claire's. When you guys watch PGSM, if you haven't watched it yet, just watch out for Princess Serenity's dress, because it was a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
They also I think they should have made her, just given her Sailor Moon's wig. I don't understand why they had to keep her as a brunette. They used the actress's real hair for it. Yeah, it was a bad 80s prom dress. It was real bad. I had very snarky comments during our PGSM episode
Definitely check
because
out.
of the fact that you have these gorgeous outfits on these kings. Gorgeous, beautiful. They're very intricate. And then even Dark Sailor Mercury had a fucking banging ass outfit.
Oh,
And
Darkury had an amazing outfit.
Darkury, like, fantastic. Even images of, because they showed Usagi, like, Queen Serenity, right? For like a second, I think.
Oh, poor little Puffin.
Well, Princess Serenity's, yes. Because as a Serenity cosplayer. Oh, Princess Sailor Moon? Fantastic. Phenomenal.
Oh,
Like,
whole other subject. Whole other subject. Princess Sailor Moon is phenomenal.
and her outfit was phenomenal. But
And
then again, you get Princess Serenity's dress and you put it next to Endymion's right here. And no, I'm sorry. Her dress did not stand up to Endymion's. It was, all right, back to the Heavenly Kings.
just real quick, the whole budget for Princess Sailor Moon and Princess Serenity went to this image, and I'm not mad about it.
No.
Okay,
Fantastic.
four kings. We're back.
But yeah, so that's like the four kings as a whole. We're going to delve into some individuals. But they did, I get real angry. Because the only one who let them have an actual ending was PGSM.
PGSM is elite.
Like,
PGSM does them right.
they did. It like gave them their own lives. Now, were they stupid comical lives? Yes, but at least they're not dead.
I
And
mean,
pocket rocks.
yeah, and Pocket Rocks. But let's start breaking it down by king, and we'll look
Alright.
over the different medias.
We're gonna look at Jadeite first.
He's
Jadeite's
such
a little bitch.
He's such a whiny little bitch.
He's such a whiny little hoe. He's the youngest of the kings, though. That is something to point out, which is probably why he's a whiny little bitch. He was meant to be with Mars, which I actually think is adorable.
I think it's such an interesting pairing because Mars is so no nonsense, and he's all nonsense.
I fucking love it, though, because she's such a hard ass that I'm just like, he would worship the ground she walks on.
Oh, he would 100%
Be
work.
like, this is my
ground.
queen. But Jadeite's really interesting. You see him bullied a lot in
Mhm.
the 90s anime. He's very much stepped on by Beryl. He constantly is doing wrong. But he is the first king to actually step up to gather the energy that Beryl's asking for. He had some interesting episodes with what he was doing. But every time he failed, Beryl was just like,
Beryl was not nice.
she was not nice to him. And if I remember correctly, Jadeite doesn't actually die. He gets frozen.
He gets frozen in a crystal.
Yeah, he gets frozen in a crystal. And I was like, so he's not dead.
No, he gets put to an eternal sleep. Which it's like, why just kill him at that point?
Yeah, so for Jadeite, for his deaths, in the manga, he does not last long. So you guys know. He is one of the fastest, supposedly bigger bosser deaths that just
Mhm.
in the manga, Mars kills him. Like, she sets him on fire. When he takes, so for, he has very little time.
Mhm.
You see him for a moment because he's the one running the monsters at that point. So you see him for the first monster when Sailor Moon gets activated. Because you have to realize in the manga, the scouts, the first 3 scouts come pretty quick.
Yes.
In the 90s anime, you had a lot more time in between. In the Japanese 90s version, you had a lot more time because, man, did they cut out some episodes when it was over here in the States. But Jadeite dies pretty quickly. He's the bus episode
Yeah.
for Rei was in the manga. That was a thing. And he was the bus driver and kidnaps her. And then she kills him when she activates her Mars powers.
Yeah.
In the anime, he lasts a lot longer than that. And you have Nephrite trying to undermine him, essentially. You had a lot more rivalry between the kings in the 90s anime.
I like that.
They were trying to off each other.
It's very Witches 5.
Yeah. They were trying to off each other constantly. And you were like, aren't you all supposed to be working together? And they were like, no, we're going to try and fuck everybody else up.
If they had worked together, they could have won.
Mhm.
If they had just worked together.
Because the scouts weren't really all together yet. They didn't have all their powers. They could have decimated everything right away. Because Venus wasn't in Japan yet. Or no, she was.
Or had just gotten back.
Had just gotten back. Because they were saying, like, she was thwarting the jewelry thief, which was Mamoru.
Okay.
But I'm like, if they had worked together without the scouts actually being at full power,
They could have won.
they could have won. Jadeite was, like I said, he's the baby. He's supposed to be. Not a lot of character development for him.
No, but a ton of amazing outfits in the 90s anime. Like, somehow Jedi just slayed.
Because he was similar to, was it Mimet
Yes.
from The Witches 5?
Mhm.
Very similar, where he actually took the jobs and was like, what was he, a radio producer? He was
Yep.
the
Cruise ship
captain of the
director.
ship.
Yep.
So, like, Jadeite was the easiest name to remember. Has the
Agreed.
easiest name to remember. Yes, he does. But he took on the jobs. Like, when he was, or was it a pageant director or something at one point? The talent show one, where he was, like, helping with the talent show.
Yeah.
Unlike the other kings, when they were doing stuff, Jedi actually assumed the roles of the jobs he was actually trying to do, which was very interesting because it's, like I said, very different from the other kings. Don't see that with the other ones. The other ones sent out henchmen, while Jadeite was there with his henchman, his monster, helping them make the con that they were trying to do to bring these people in. The only time you don't see him is the first episode.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in the jewelry shop helping her sell the jewelry.
You're right.
We only have the rights to this one song, and we intend to use that episode with Usagi and Naru. Yes.
Yes.
Where they're singing the Sailor Moon theme song. But I think it was supposed to be Sailor V's theme song.
Oh, you're right. The talent show. No,
Yeah.
it was the Sailor Moon theme song. It was
But they
Fight
needed
for
the
Life
Sailor
Life.
V theme
Aw.
song. But yeah, like I said, Jedi was very interesting. He was good to open the show with, but he, like we were saying, he was more hands-on.
Yes. And what did you think of him in manga and Crystal?
Manga, he died too quickly.
Yeah.
You don't really get the king that got the most time was Kunzite. Crystal, I was waiting for him to die, and then when he didn't, I was like, excuse, what? He escaped? That was my thing when I was watching the Crystal episode. I'm like, what do you mean he escaped?
Yeah.
Then you've got pgsm, Jedi, who was a baby-faced actor. He was so baby-faced.
No, but he's so cute.
He's very cute. And I don't remember how he died. But the difference is, for pgsm, the four kings, while they were trying to undermine each other just a little bit, they made sure each other didn't die.
Oh, yeah.
They made it because, and we'll get into it, but there was a reason. And we will get to that in two more kings. Why? But they tried not to make sure each other died. I don't remember how Jadeite meets his end
Let me see if
in
I can find it.
pgsm.
It's one of those things I need to rewatch pgsm so bad.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in ages, but I don't have all those hours to sit down because pgsm is like an hour per episode. And it's
Okay.
41 episodes.
So he's burned alive. Or, no, is he burned alive? Is that... Is that pgsm too?
Don't remember how he dies in PGSM.
I'm looking it up. He
Because
is
I know
so cute.
the kings were not happy when he died. It was a very, they were, what the fuck?
Oh, he was the last to die. In a special act, he returned with the other Shitennou to help help Mamoru fight against Queen Mio's monsters.
Mm.
It doesn't say how he died. It just says that he's the last to die.
So yeah, that means they didn't kill him off with the scouts.
Mm.
That was probably when all of the kings died at once and then got reborn.
Mhm.
PGSM, again, doesn't allow them to die, but it worked with PGSM. Please, as we always say, encourage and go to PGSM. So Jedi, he wasn't the king that really stuck with me.
No, but he is really cute.
He is very cute. His PGSM actor is very cute. He is a baby. Look at the baby face.
Look at the baby face.
Also, like I said, all of their outfits, slay.
11 out of 10. 11 out of 10.
11 out of 10 for the kings. But the thing is, even though PGSM made these outfits their own, they still had the elements of the original king's outfits. Who was the one with Mercury and what on earth made them such a good couple in canon? That would be Zoisite, which we will get into. We're going to talk about Nephrite next, since that we're going in the order that they appeared.
But we promise we'll get to. Yes, we promise.
Because Zoisite is a lot longer. What did you think of Jedi? He was, like I said, he was.
As somebody who just rewatched the 90s anime Jadeite, he is delightfully insane. Like, his schemes are so out of whack and so just all over that it's so wild to me that he is supposed to be paired with Mars. Because I'm like, she is all business and you are all fluff.
But like I was saying, he's the only one who has all this shit because he's so hands-on with his schemes.
Yes.
Compared to the other ones.
And then Puffin wants to know.
No, the next one is Nephrite, who we're going to get into. So we can just go into Nephrite.
Yeah, let's go into Nephrite because Jadeite is a good start, but he's more of a footnote. And yes, he did use to control planes and then he died. That was in the 90s anime, Sora. You're right. Because he is a hilarious death. I'll put in a clip here. His death in the 90s anime is honestly funny, the way the planes come at him.
Oh, what? When he finally loses and the barrel locks him up?
Yeah, whereas Fight to the Finish, Girls Unite, I think is the episode
something
title.
like that. And he loses and then he goes back to the Negaverse and Barrel's like, eternal sleep for you, motherfucker.
Yeah, she's like, you survived? Congrats, go die.
Yeah. And then Nephrite steps in, who has been fucking with Jadeite. So we meet Nephrite beforehand because he's fucking with Jadeite to make sure he loses because he wants to step up as the next person who's gathering the energy for Beryl.
Yes.
I've always loved Nephrite because I thought he was very handsome with his long hair. And he had the sharpest suits in fucking the 90s anime.
Maxfield Stanton.
Yeah. I had the biggest crush on him. I was like, Molly, I completely understand. You can't.
You're like
in a good suit.
Done and done. No, because literally, he's a whole vibe. Let me pull up a picture of him because.
Yeah, and he was, what was his name? Max Stanton?
Maxfield Stanton.
Maxfield Stanton.
Look at him.
He was such a sassy fucker. I love Nephrite. But as always, a lot of people remember Nephrite because of his relationship with Molly. Unfortunately, that relationship is a product of its time.
Yes.
A lot of 90s anime. We can bring up Cardcaptor Sakura. And that one was canon because it was in the manga.
Yeah.
The relationship he has with Naro is only 90s anime specific. That does not happen in the manga. It does not happen in any of the other medias for Sailor Moon. They had, I don't know why, it's the product of Japan's time. They tended to match these young middle school or high school girls with much older men. So his relationship with Molly Naro, it was very much a product of its time, early 2000s. It still happens now in
Mhm.
anime. Not I have noticed they are starting to calm that down just a little with the schoolgirls and the older men. I have noticed in a lot of the shoujos, because it's a shoujo thing.
Mhm.
I have noticed they have started putting them with more within their age range, just a little. I've just noticed from recent animes I've been watching,
Mhm.
they have started doing that when it's like slice of life. They're a little bit more within age range of each other. If usually with only a couple years, like she might still be in high school, but he's going off to college, like something like that. But they're like maybe 2 to 3 years apart. So they're keeping
Yeah.
it closer in age range, which is nice. But during this time, when the anime was going on, it was quite a thing for the younger girls to be with older men, which is why you have the situation that happened with Molly, and her and Nephrite falling in love. It was very sad, and I won't lie. I was like, I still cry to this day, when I
Oh,
watch them. I'm like, "Oh, the age thing," but then you're like, "Oh, that's really sad." When I was watching this, at the age I was watching it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's okay." It's not. But I was like, "I want my own Nephrite." I'm like, "Mm."
no, but it's a really well done story.
It
They
was.
compel you to it.
It was a very well done story. It was very interesting because he did try to use her, but then he was like, "Oh, this is wrong."
Yeah,
And like, I love the story and I loved it, but it did have its problems. Um,
absolutely. Yes. Sora
yes,
coming in saying the scream when Nephrite dies by Naru/Molly gets me every time. That actress came to work.
I cry. Even though they don't have a healthy relationship, very much one of those Beauty and the Beast kind of kidnap vibes, because he did kidnap her at one point, and
Mhm.
that's when she suddenly falls in love, and I'm like, Girly pop, please." But when I was watching this in the 90s, when this was happening, I was like, "Oh my god, this is fu—" And now I'm older and I'm like, "Oh,
The Little
it's not
Mermaid
okay."
effect.
But I still love them. Think I really love the whole love thing.
Okay. Listen,
Okay, they were forced in crystal
yeah.
because it's based off an artwork. So yes,
So
it's
random.
very interesting because they don't indicate more in the anime that they're supposed to be together.
I could see how it could be forced in some
Mhm.
people's eyes.
And so with Nephrite, I find it interesting because they had that relationship with Molly in the 90s, and that is the only time that you see this. And I guess they were just trying to have a faded, there's gonna be death kind of romance in the anime. I guess they were trying to spice it up or what have you, because Nephrite's supposed to be with Jupiter,
Yeah.
and Jupiter's not even in the show yet.
No, which is like one of the weirdest things.
Yeah. So it was really weird because you don't have Jupiter for Nephrite to play off of. But I did love Nephrite's character. So his powers were based on stars and constellations in the 90s anime. So he got his monsters from the stars. So I really liked his character because of that. And like his base was in a cathedral. I really liked the 90s anime Nephrite because they gave him this really beautiful powers and stuff like that. And like he used space and the cathedral and he looked at the constellations. Yeah,
Mhm.
like Galaxy manga vibes. And it was just really pretty.
It was gorgeous.
And it was giving him a unique power. like Jadeite had where he was very hands-on in his. You go to Nephrite, he's not hands-on except for this Maximilian Sheffield character. That's what he was called in the English 90s. I don't know what he was called in the Japanese. I don't know what he called himself.
Yeah.
And he was like a businessman, a rich businessman who was like, he used this persona to scout places and to scout people,
Yeah.
but then he like sent his monsters out. He wasn't really as involved. But I just, like I said, and he would like, read the stars and try to see how things were going to go. He was very much your, what was it? I was trying to think. I lost a train of thought. He was very much like space witchy.
Sora coming in
Masato Sanjoin.
in Japanese. Okay. Thank you, Sora.
I like his name, Masato. I guess that's where they got Max from, because the M.
Stanton.
And look, so
MS.
They just gave him a very 90s.
I love it. I love it so much.
They gave him a very 90s rich, posh dude. Yes, it's MS. But like a very rich, posh man's name. Maximilian in the 90s was it. That was the rich dude's name.
Darian Shields, Puffin.
Yeah, Darian Shield. I don't know where they got Darian from. We're not going to get into that right now. But I don't know where they got Darian from. It could have been true. Nephrite was a very interesting character. I liked him. I thought he was hot. He was handsome.
Mm-hmm.
I loved his star theme. And then you've got manga Nephrite, who didn't last very long, if I remember correctly. He dies to Jupiter. So he actually gets to meet Jupiter in the manga, but not in the 90s anime. Because in the manga, it's Jupiter that kills him.
Yeah.
Don't remember because I haven't read it in a moment. And I really need to start rereading stuff, but I've been so soaked in Good Omens fan fiction that let's see if we can actually pull Azira out of that. We probably won't, because I just love my old gay men. As an old gay man myself, I love my old gay men.
Yes.
Good Omens is my life right now. Sailor Moon just sits behind me and in front of me because I have the Sailor Moon keyboards.
And you're wearing Sailor Moon.
And I'm wearing Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon's in my life, but my reading is Bridgerton and Good Omens. And of course, shit like this. Actually, I do have a book that I need to read because apparently it's inspired by Sailor Moon.
Oh?
It's called Zahara.
Never heard of it.
Zhara. I've got to send you a picture of it, but the author's a really big Sailor Moon fan, and this book was inspired by Sailor Moon.
Oh, cool.
I need to read it. I'll send you a picture of it. But yes, but Nephrite, when he's like in the manga, it doesn't last very long. Him and Jadeite are very quick deaths in the manga, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Zoisite gets a little bit longer. In the PGSM,
Yes.
Nephrite, he's such a fucking punk.
He looks so fun.
They very much played on, and Loki had mentioned earlier, the Comfy Witch. Loki had given us the descriptions of everybody. Nephrite is supposed to be fire, if I remember correctly what Loki was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So here's him with his red hair and his flames on his thing. He's so cunty. And he is in PGSM. And with PGSM, Nephrite actually is very much in, what's the way? He butts heads more with Dark Mercury.
Yes.
Because he's supposed to be the one fighting at that time. And Dark Mercury is like, get fucked, sit down, little boy, I will handle it. And very much they butt heads. And it's funny because there's almost romance between them. So you have that, the enemies, like they would hate fuck kind of thing going on between them. there's a lot of tension between them, and it's very much like flirty tension. And people were like,
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
wait a minute, stop it. Mercury's supposed to be a Zoisite. So it's very interesting with their dynamic and the fact that Dark Mercury just likes to step on his fucking toes and be like, but he looks like a fuck would be a
He does. He really does.
his
Can't deny it.
PGSM Nephrite just cracked me up because he wasn't he wasn't as hot as like the 90s anime Nephrite / manga Crystal. He looked like a fuckboy. That's what with his flame hair and shit like that. And I was like, it was also a younger actor also for Nephrite compared to Zoisite and Kunzite's actors. He's very much a baby face. And Sora also pointed out like how fast people died. They got 2 acts.
2
And then they were
acts.
dead.
Done.
They weren't, but Zoisite and Kunzite's actor in the PGSM were not as young. But they aren't young in the manga either. If you look at Nephrite, like all of their sketches, they have a much older cut
Appearance.
to their faces. But Nephrite's, I think he's supposed to be the second youngest out of the kings. I did enjoy him in PGSM, but he wasn't my hot factor like he was in the other medias. He was such a Chad. And he very much threw temper tantrums too. He was very
100%.
hot-headed. The way they made this character in PGSM, he was a very hot-headed character who like threw temper tantrum, blah blah blah. Where you have him in the 90s anime, he's very much like cool, sophisticated. He's a gentleman. And while he has his moments of like, being angry, he's not throwing these bitch-ass temper tantrums like he was in PGSM.
Yeah.
He was hilarious in PGSM. Him and Dark Mercury, their chemistry that they put on them, I was like, I'm not mad about it, however.
Like, why did you pair those 2 up when we already had a
Well, I
pairing?
mean, she's also got the energy with Zoisite.
Yeah.
In PGSM. It's just a lot of the headbutting was between her and this Nephrite that they did.
Yeah.
I don't know the musicals.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sora. So Nephrite was 19 in the manga or so.
And 19 for some reason in Japanese mangas is a fucking adult. And I'm like, I'm 38 and I'm not an adult. Please.
And then you were talking about musicals.
You would know the musicals. I do not.
Z actually dropped recommendations for if you like the 4 Kings and you want to see them in the musicals. These are the musicals I watched to prepare for the episode and highly recommend them.
They have different names.
They do. They do. It's never explained why. The end of the comment. Yeah. And then, yes. Comfy Witch. It's on missdreams.org or also Sea of Serenity.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see all of the musicals there with English sub.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know what his persona is in the musicals because I haven't seen them.
They
So
were called Teen Sexy on the new one. And they were hot. They were hot. I will fully admit that. They did the 4 Kings right in the latest musicals.
Good. Did they have badass outfits too, and they followed the manga
Yeah, let me pull
kind of
up
inspiration?
Yagi. You say it's the newest ones.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't watched the musicals, so I can't speak on them.
So it's going to be tiny. It's them in the corner, but they're out.
Yeah. It keeps to their theme.
I think they look good, especially
Is Molly in that one too? Naru?
Yeah.
Naru's in it, and also Umino?
Yeah, Melvin's in it. I
How
highly
old is that
recommend this
musical?
one. 2019.
Oh.
It's a good one. It's a highly recommend good one.
I gotta watch that one then, because is that the one that came over to the States?
No, that's the one after that. The one that came over to the States was a personal favorite of mine.
I wish they'd bring him to the States more because that was sold out.
It was so good.
Do you have anything on Nephrite? I thought he was a sexy fucker.
I loved his story with Molly, even though looking back on it, I'm like, you're 14. What the hell? But the way they did the music, Bob Summers, again, Bob, we love you, Bob. You absolutely slayed the 90s Deke soundtrack. And the one in the States was the Super Live. That was it. The Super Live. I saw that one in New York. Yeah, I went to New York City and saw it, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, his thing with Molly, I was like, oh my God. And then I'm like, you try not to think about it. You're like, let me just watch the fucking anime.
I know, because they do it so well. Whenever spoiler alert for everybody who hasn't seen the 90s anime, but yeah. Grape is the name of the villain, and she literally takes her vines and puts it through him, and then Molly's like trying to comfort him. And then when she does that scream where she's, no, we'll get a doctor. And it's just so
stay
good.
with me.
Yeah, no, the
Stay
villain's
with
name is
me.
Grape.
Don't leave me. We'll get a doctor. You'll be fine, and we'll be together. And I'm like, stop. Yeah, she's great, and she puts a grapevine through him.
Yes, that's how he dies.
She's similar to the 5. What are they called? The sisters that are at the end.
The Plant Sisters, or
Plant
you're talking
Sisters.
about not the Witches 5, but there's 5 of them.
Yeah, the DD girls. The
D&D,
Doom and Gloom.
Doom and Gloom.
So she's very similar to the Doom and Gloom girls. She's got a very similar shape. And she also has those pointy vines that come out of her hand. And Nephrite gets stabbed. Isn't he saving Molly when he does it?
He is. That's what makes it
He's
so
saving
sad.
Molly because he's having feelings for her and they were on a date or something?
Yes.
Yeah, they were on a date and he's like trying to be with her. And Zoisite tips off what's going on. Because Zoisite finds out that something's going on and that he's fraternizing essentially with human. Zoisite tips it off and sends Grape.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, kidnap Naru and send the Grapes there, and Zoisite ends up leaving because Nephrite gets killed. Zoisite is okay, my job's here, it's done. Let me not be connected with this. And Nephrite dies in Naru's arms. Oh, that's right. The black. Zoisite wanted the black crystal.
Yes.
I forgot because the black crystal was resonating with the silver crystal.
Yes.
Fraternizing. Yeah. God, I haven't watched it in so long. I really need to rewatch it, but I don't feel like listening to Naru's screams because it just breaks my heart. The 3, you have Mars, Mercury, and Moon witness it. They watch Nephrite die in Naru's arms. And it's very sad. Everybody's crying. It's just, I don't like it. Don't like that scene. It was very sad and very heart-wrenching, even though you're like, oh, but then you're like,
Nephrite was such a good character.
He was a very good character. Like I said, the whole stars thing that he had, the whole galaxy stars thing he had in the 90s was very good.
Oh, Sarah, you found the park where you died when you were in Japan. Oh,
that's even sadder.
It is.
That's right. And also good point out in the 90s anime, the black crystal was used for the rainbow crystals. I remember that. And Kunzite or something had the black crystal in the end. But that's what we have for Nephrite. Do we want to go into the 2 that actually lasted the longest?
We have about 8 minutes till break. So I was like, do we want to get into a new subject or is there anything special?
I don't know if I want to get into Zoisite yet.
Yeah, because Zoisite's a lot.
Zoisite has so much.
Yeah.
Zoisite lasts longer.
Zoisite and Kunzite both do.
They do, because they are the longest lasting.
I got an idea. We have some Twitter comments, actually, from our post. Shall we go over them?
Okay.
Sailor Moon Fan Club, which I'm a big fan of. I'm working my way right now through your podcast, said, I would have loved to have seen more of them. And I feel like that's a general consensus among fans.
Yeah, that's why they deserve better.
They do.
Uh, they, what do you do? Negaverse? What do you say?
Megaverse.
They were not there very long. They weren't in the manga very long. But in PGSM, they were there the longest. And they get reborn.
Yeah.
They really did. I wish we could have seen them more. We could have seen more of their storyline because we didn't really know more of their storyline till after the fact.
Yeah.
And like I said, they had more storyline. And I was like, Naoko, why did you kill them then? Why
It's a
did they
good
die?
question.
Why
Like,
did
what?
they die and not come back? She left a lot of loose ends, to be honest. Let's
Mhm.
be honest. She left a lot of loose ends with a lot of characters. People had just random shit she would throw in there and you'd be like, is this part of their storyline? Is this going to stay around? No? Okay. What else we got?
By the way, I hope I'm reading these names right. I'm still new to Twitter. Number one, Garu Lucky Shipper says, maybe to build on the romance they apparently had, because I was not sad on that.
What?
About the Four Kings, about like building the romance between the Senshi and the Four Kings seems to be something that they were hoping that would be expanded upon.
We didn't know about the romance with the Four Kings until that artwork came out. And that artwork came out after.
Oh, it did?
It came out after they were in the manga.
Yeah.
It was after they had died in the manga.
Oh,
But I don't think it was a manga art. I think it was in her art books that art came out. Or it was one of the title pages for one of the acts.
okay.
I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head if it was one of the acts artworks. But that artwork didn't come out till a little bit later. And that's when people started speculating. And people were like, are they supposed to be together? And then it was later on that Naoko mentioned that she had this thought
Naka, why?
of them being together. And I was like, why can't they just be together?
Because
Why do you
everybody
gotta
liked
kill
it.
everybody and then not bring them back? Also, why can't the Senshi have love? Why is Usagi the only one not single?
Wouldn't it have been nice to see the others happy?
Yeah, like I said, they could have been reborn, and then they could have met them after the Galaxia thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would have loved to see is when Chibiusa went to go fight, and she had the Amazon Quartet. You had the knights show up and wake up to come defend also. I don't know, the rocks or something with the rocks, because that's where they were. Like,
Yeah.
they came back out of those to go fight to help because Mamoru has died.
Yeah.
And to go protect the princess. They do not. The
Low
only
key.
people who do that are the Outers. And that does not include Saturn because Saturn's with Chibiusa.
That is a chat.
Saturn and Chibiusa are my ship.
I love them together.
I love them together. They're also like always together. They always are drawn together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would have loved to see them come back. And that would have been a great time to bring them back, because then if they had died, she could have just brought them back as humans and been the scouts +1 to the wedding. Come on. They could have been the best men.
It could have happened. That's the sad part.
Yeah, it could have happened easily. I think she just forgot about them.
I do ship Mars and Venus, though.
I do ship Mars and Venus. Honestly, Jadeite and Kunzite would allow it to happen. It's not fair. Be like, yeah, go ahead, kiss each other. We don't care. Is there any other? Just
Yes, one more comment from, I think it's Lupus Fiasco. The Shitennou in the live action PGSM are by far the most fascinating versions of them. I could talk for hours.
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Because they rounded out their characters. They gave them like substance. Substance? I don't know. I'm hungry. Loki
You're
gets
like
home
food.
already. But they actually there was something to hold on to
Yes.
with their stories. They actually gave them something. They made them characters. Substance, thank you.
They gave them something. They gave them a true story.
Mhm. And you had more story of the kings in PGSM. They didn't do the whole, like, how Beryl brainwashed them, but
Yeah.
that's Loki's cue that Loki's home.
Yes, and thank you for everybody who commented on Twitter. And we are going to go to break. Everybody, welcome back for the second half of The Four Heavenly Kings Deserve Better on Eternal Mooncast. This is a fan favorite I found.
Yes. Let's be honest. Because of the 90s and making Zoisite female, I think Zoisite was a gay awakening for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're, oh, it's a woman. I'm like, people are like, oh, I'm a lesbian. I'm like, no, that's a man. It's just very pretty.
He is very pretty.
It's just a very pretty man. That's it. We don't know. I think the reason why they made Zoisite a woman because of the relationship with Kunzite. And they did not want a gay man relationship on screen because of the 90s anime making them very close.
90s anime made them hella gay.
Made them hella gay for no reason. Because they're not hella gay in the manga.
No, which it's like, not that I'm complaining. This is not a complaint. But I'm like, what a wonderful choice.
It was a choice because queer baiting was a thing in the 90s and early 2000s. Still is. Where they're just like, we're going to let these men look like they're gay together and then they're not going to actually be. And you're like, stop.
But they were like a for real couple, though, weren't they, in the 90s?
Yeah, when gay was an insult. They were just alluded to be together. They were, because they were like, we're so in love with one another. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
But they didn't outright say that they were together.
Okay.
Because they, like, you're like, yeah, he was.
Yes, he was.
There was a very strong hint. They were in the 90s anime, they pretty much, Kunzite was like, Zoisite can't die, I will die. Ma.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing with them. But that's why they made Zoisite a girl in the first 90s animes that came over to the States. Because Zoisite looked feminine. However, they did add more eyelash onto Zoisite.
Really? Gotta give that eyelash.
Because they could do that. They were able to manipulate it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. They made Zoisite just a little bit more feminine looking. And that was just, I think they just gave Zoisite a little bit more eyelash. But he was a very pretty man. So it didn't take much.
No.
It took a little bit of eyelash and a female voice actress. The flat chested.
Yeah. It's Laura.
But Zoisite's a very interesting character. Zoisite is the reason Nephrite dies. Yeah, they took away everything. They took all the lines. No lines. None.
No lines.
You get nothing. Zoisite is the reason Nephrite died. So you saw that little conniving shit happen in the 90s anime. Zoisite is also the one who unmasks Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah.
Zoisite is the one who figures shit out before the crystals. So Zoisite figures out who Tuxedo Mask is before the whole unveiling of Princess Serenity and essentially blackmails him.
Yeah.
To give up his crystals, injures him in the process because Zoisite dresses up as a fake Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Which they made a figure arts for, which I have, is it's fantastic. And stabs him with an icicle.
No, Zoisite is really smart.
Zoisite is very smart. They never really say why she matched certain people up with certain people. She just drew them together. Venus and Kunzite make sense. And yeah, it's probably their elements. So they matched up elements, blah, blah, blah. No, Beryl didn't know who Tux was until Zoisite figured it out. Because Zoisite figures it out in the 90s anime. and is, oh, give me your crystals. Here's my blackmail. And then that's the whole episode where Tuxedo Mask figures out who Usagi is, that Usagi's Sailor Moon, and then you've got the crystals combining, and Princess Serenity shows up. And then Kunzite shows up and they kidnap Tuxedo Mask.
It is a fantastic scene, though, in the elevator. Zoisite, the way Zoisite played up the elevator scene with the fire going down to burn them was honestly, I wore out that VHS tape as a kid.
Same. Those are some of my favorite 2 episodes is the princess. Moonlight Night does not happen. Moonlight Night is during Ann and Alan. He gets wiped out and he becomes an evil Tuxedo Mask, essentially. Because Beryl's like, oh, I'm going to use this to my advantage. And so she mind swipes him, essentially, and turns him evil. And then you actually have this evil Tuxedo Mask fighting against Zoisite. Essentially, like, they like butt heads because he likes to step into Zoisite's plans and fuck them up. Like I said, Zoisite's very interesting because you have the relationship with Kunzite that is not supposed to be a thing.
Yeah.
And
But was throwing
then
it for fun.
my favorite Zoisite, to be honest, is pgsm Zoisite.
Oh? Why pgsm Zoisite?
Because he was so involved. He was the one who knew everything. pgsm Zoisite actually realized that they were the generals of the prince. He was the one who remembered their former lives. He also plays the piano in the show.
Oh, that's right.
He's
I
always playing the
forgot about
piano.
that.
And it was interesting because of the music. Oh, look how fabulous he is. He's so fucking fabulous. Zoisite is essentially in pgsm a double agent because he slowly sabotages stuff that is meant to hurt the prince. So he does like stuff a little bit more underhandedly so that the prince doesn't get injured. The actor was fabulous. I fucking loved him. They did not have, in pgsm, they did not play on that whole Zoisite and Kunzite thing.
No.
He did have a problem with Dark Mercury. So back to our Dark Mercury thing, where she was butting heads with Nephrite. She was butting heads with Zoisite as well. Now, they did not butt heads on as high of a romantic level as she did with Nephrite, because that one was like I said, there was like they could have hate fucked with her and Nephrite because of the way they were being.
Yeah.
Her and Zoisite, however, were more of like an intellectual kind of thing when they were button heads, because she would say something and he would be like, well, your plan's flawed. Here's why. And she'd be like, get fucked. She's like, I'm going to do it anyway. So you actually had a lot of interaction with Mercury and Zoisite where you don't see that in other medias. Even though that's the pair, that's supposed to be the pairing is her and Zoisite, is Mercury and Zoisite. And in pgsm, he is the one who is trying to wake up the other kings for them to remember, because he remembers, but he's trying to do it in a way that Beryl doesn't figure it out.
The hard part.
And you can see that throughout pgsm is his struggle to make sure Beryl doesn't figure shit out, because he's scared of her destroying them before they can be free. Kunzite suspects it. He suspects something's going on with Zoisite. He confronts him a couple times. There's also a really weird thing between Zoisite and Venus in pgsm. I don't know if you remember it, but because of the music, she actually hears his piano playing.
God, it's been so long since I watched pgsm.
And they did some romantic elements between Venus and Zoisite, which was interesting, because they didn't really do any romantic elements between her and Kunzite. But her and Zoisite, there was much more romantic element there in pgsm than her with some of the other characters. And it was like, I think, I'm trying to remember correctly, but I think Zoisite knows something's wrong with her because he points out she's self-destructive sometimes. when she's doing things, but he's also trying to get her to ally with him because he's like, hey, we're trying to make sure both our sides don't die here. And
Yeah.
she's like, I don't trust you.
Mhm.
And he's like, I haven't done anything to you. And she's like, I don't care. And then his death was really sad in PGSM. I was actually really upset. But when he gets rebirthed,
So good.
they're such idiots. Like, their police outfits, because they're like, and it's a little bit different in Japan when it comes to their little police stations, because they'll have these police booths that you can go up to, if I'm saying this correctly, because that's what I saw on the show. And they work this security guard police booth, and it's so bad. But yeah, he's very cunty, especially in the 90s anime. He's a sassy bitch, as he should be, which is where my wife was mentioning that he's a twink. It's true.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think. I'm like, Zoisite had much more storyline.
Zoisite also gets introduced earlier with Nephrite than I feel like any of the other kings got introduced with each other.
Because Zoisite's pretty much there from episode 3 of Nephrite fucking up.
Yeah.
Zoisite's, you fucked up, bitch. And Nephrite's like, get the fuck away from me.
Nephrite is done.
He's like, get away from me. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Fuck you. It's very much a fuck you between them.
Yeah.
He's, don't mess with my stuff. He's like, leave me alone.
Yes.
He also has the most storyline
Yeah.
compared to all the other kings.
With Kunzite and everything.
He just has more. He just has more. There's more to him than the other ones. And you have, like I said, you have the story with him and Kunzite in the 90s. He was alive a little bit more in the manga.
Yeah.
But then you have, like I said, PGSM, where he was such a big integral part compared to the other kings, which I found interesting. I just love the PGSM one because he got so much storyline.
Yes. I
He
think
was so integral.
I think that's why a lot of fans like PGSM so much, is because it's the kings we always wanted. It's like finally the time and deserved and respect. And I wish more fans had watched PGSM or could watch it or like would. So anything left on Zoisite that we want to get into, because definitely PGSM Zoisite is one of the best. But I also think 90s anime Zoisite is super strong.
Because I don't, for Crystal?
Yeah, what about Crystal
There.
and manga Zoisite?
They were there.
But I'm like,
But he didn't stand out.
No,
He didn't stand out in the manga.
not at all.
And Crystal, the same thing. Because in Crystal, yeah, he dies to Mercury.
Yeah, they keep
Not Crystal in the
manga.
manga. In the manga, he dies to Mercury.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Do I remember how? Good fucking question.
Anybody in our audience remember how?
Talking to our studio audience.
They love talking to our audience.
Oh, that's right. And so in the 90s anime, it's Queen Beryl who kills Zoisite.
Oh, okay.
And Kunzite's like standing over his dead body. Yeah, he died in Kunzite's arms as Queen Beryl informed Kunzite to let Zoisite's death be a warning to him if he ever harms Prince Endymion.
Yes, because Zoisite tried to kill Mamo. And that was a big no.
Because Zoisite was like, just kill him. He's in the fucking way.
Yeah.
The manga, I'm trying to remember how he dies.
It's quick. I remember that.
Whether or not I can find it is another thing, because everybody's like, the anime, and I'm like, but what about the manga?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, everything is about the enemy that I could find.
I found it. So pretty in the fucking manga too. Oh my god.
Yes.
Naoko went all out with him with like little flyaways, and apparently his estimated age is 16 to 17. I'm like, 16 to 17-year-olds don't look that old. Please. The way Naoko ages people, I'm like, ma'am, that's not how people look.
Sora goddess.
Sailor Venus kills him.
Ah. And you're
Oh.
right, though. Naoko draws them way older.
Is this the manga?
Really?
Yes. He's killed by Sailor V. That's when Sailor V makes her first appearance. Because he has Sailor Moon. He grabs Sailor Moon and is about to stab her.
Okay.
I'm like, oh. He does dress as a woman at one point? Yes. He actually is dressed up as a woman with titties.
Cool.
He's on a talk show as a doctor. As Professor Izumo.
That's so random.
Yeah. He's very pretty.
Oh,
But yeah, he's actually dressed as a woman.
Sora also brings up Tux's best scene in Crystal was with Zoisite when he pushes Zoisite. I agree.
But you have Jadeite here. And they translated the notes. And for Jadeite, it says, a pretty boy. He is around 18 years old and has a serious kind of personality. And then for Zoisite, it says his blonde hair is a darker shade than Jadeite's. He seems to be about 16 to 17 years old. He is very effeminate, gives off the air that he was the baby of his family. He's the second in command to Kunzite. He is very underhanded in his style of fighting. No shit.
No? Yeah, honestly.
For Nephrite, it says he is about 19 years old, very emotional and intense, and is likely to get himself killed. Among the four generals, he seems to be the most responsible. Like an oldest son, he is very boastful.
Interesting. And do you have the one with Kunzite?
No, I just found this one.
Too bad. That's a great translation.
Yeah, but here's Zoisite, and I was like, God, he's so pretty.
He's so pretty.
He's so pretty. So, very pretty. Very pretty in the thing. I forgot how much he dressed as a woman. I was like looking, and I was like, that's right. He does dress as a woman for some of this stuff. And I was like, maybe that's where they pulled it from too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sailor V is actually the one who kills him.
Okay.
He shows up. He does show up in the manga to Nephrite. And he just says something to him. He's like, as for those Sailor soldiers, you don't think they're also searching for the silver crystal, do you? Because it was the kings meeting up and discussing stuff.
Okay.
Oh. Someone's got a translation from the manga for Zoisite, and it says, in that case, leave this to me, Zoisite, General of Europe. I will find the silver crystal and collect the energy we need so desperately.
Okay.
So they do mention that. I guess that's why they made him look like that. At least I found out, because I was like, I forget how he died.
Yes.
I'm like, how does he die? But yeah, like I said, he's got so much more to him.
So much.
Than any of the other kings. And I don't know why he was given more. Zoisite probably. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why Zoisite was given more story, because he really was, even in the manga. He was given a little bit more. Maybe because he was really pretty and Naoko likes drawing pretty boys.
Maybe. She's got a talent.
PGSM played up on that. They were like, storyline? You get even more storyline. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll eat all of this.
No, because it was so well done.
And a lot of people that you talk to who actually have watched PGSM, Zoisite is their favorite king.
Yeah.
Because, and he was just so tragic. And I'm like, but like I said, he had that weird thing with Venus for the show for some reason.
Yeah, which I'm like, is it the silver hair? Like,
I don't know, because didn't have that much interaction with Venus. What is it about tragedy that's so compelling? It makes them seem more human.
Yes.
Also giving male presenting characters much more emotion if there's tragedy involved. The other king of kings, Zoisite is a king.
show.
It's true. That's literally why they give male characters more tragedy, because it makes them show more emotion, which is why when you have a lot of gay stuff, there's always so much tragedy. Because they're like, the gays need more tragedy. I'm like, no, we don't.
No, we don't.
Just give me a meet cute, okay? But I don't know what else to say about Zoisite.
Yeah, shall we move on to
He's
Kunzite?
he's a very interesting character. There's just he was very confusing for me when I found out he was a man, because I
That
watched 90s anime and I was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean he's a boy?
that confused me too.
And they were like, Zoisite, a boy, and I'm like, what?
What?
And then I realized why later on, because I didn't realize when I first found out Zoisite was a boy why they made him a girl. And then it took me much later in life to be like, because they didn't want a gay relationship on screen. Because Kunzite and Zoisite get very close in the 90s
Very.
anime. They're pretty much like up on each other. Nearly a kiss. Senshi to Kings, I can fix
Fix
him.
him.
Zoisite to Dark Mercury, I can make her worse.
Beautiful.
It's very true. It's true. Although Zoisite with Dark Mercury, he was just like, you're such a bitch. Literally, that was his attitude with her. He's like, you're such a bitch.
Yeah,
I was like, now kiss. Just do it.
eventually.
No, they don't, which stupid. Because we don't get any of our ships at all, because the kings always die and then don't come back.
Nope. And then they're pocket rocks for the rest of the time.
Except for PGSM, then they're just stupid security guard police officers that are,
We love it.
they're just so dumb. Because it's very much like Three Stooges kind of comedy between them.
Except for this.
And I'm
What's
like,
the only difference?
I'm like, ooh, okay. Is that where we're going? Why'd you make them so stupid? I was like, that's fine. They're not dead. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into King's
Kunzite?
cosplay?
Into what?
King's cosplay group.
Cake sauce. Like, when?
When?
It's gonna happen.
Probably in 2 years, when Loki and I actually go back to cosplay.
Yep.
When I can just buy my cosplays. Because I'm too old for that shit. I don't want to make them anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to do it.
Fair.
I think I'm the tallest of the group, though, so that means I have to be fucking Kunzite.
Kunzite. Yeah.
I'm just enough of a bastard to be Kunzite. Speaking about Kunzite, that's where we're going next.
Yeah. Would you mind going into it, and I'll be right back?
Got it. You want to make yours? Abso-fucking. Why do you hate me? I guess we can make the King's cosplays. It's a pain in the ass. But Kunzite. So Kunzite is essentially the Sailor V of the Kings. He is the leader of the group. As we read, Zoisite was his second in command. You'll be supporting the new crop of cosplayers who haven't been beaten down by life yet. Listen, I'm so beaten down. Oh, I'm just like, do I want to make a cosplay? You won't, because you want to be pretty. It would be nice to put like a galaxy lining inside the cloaks. I don't really want to do it, but it's fine. Okay. Cries. I'll just buy all my other cosplays. But so Kunzite, leader of the group, long white hair. It's interesting because they gave him black hair in PGSM, but they made Zoisite white haired. That's their own decisions. It's not mine. Kunzite he's a bit of a dick. He is the one who snags up Tuxedo Mask when Tuxedo Mask is injured. He does that in the manga also. He's the one who snags Tuxedo Mask so that he can be turned evil. He's an interesting character because in Crystal, you get a little bit more between him and Venus. That's Venus and him essentially watching the prince and the princess. So you see more of a connection when it comes to Crystal between her and Kunzite, because she's the one who's remembering it. Oh, yeah, you can be Zoisite. You can be a cunty little bitch. I'm trying to, like, I do not like Crystal season 1. I will be dead honest with you. I have to look at the newer versions because I know that they went back and helped fix it. But season 1 of Crystal was the animation hurt my soul. Like, my soul injured when I watched Crystal. So I don't remember quite all of it, but I do remember that they do have the scene with her and Kunzite watching over the princess. If I remember correctly, Venus.
Oh, the
Looking it
Blu-ray
up.
looks a lot better.
Yeah, I've heard the Blu-ray looks a lot better. Okay. So here's his page, Standing with Nephrite. And it says, oh, interesting. So the translation actually says, has a romantic relationship with Zoisite. White
Mhm.
hair.
Oh, so there was a romantic relationship even in the manga.
That's what they're hinting at, yeah. He's about 25 or 26 years old. He is the top dog among the 4 generals. He has the air of an Arabian king. He is usually quiet and calm, but is terrifying when angered. Even though all of the 4 generals have identical uniforms, he wears a cape, which is a little bit more regal looking, I think. His sword is just a smidgen shorter than Endymion's. He is the tallest, then comes Nephrite and Zoisite. Jadeite is the shortest.
Oh, cool.
But I
And
like
that's
this
from the
lining.
materials, right?
Yeah, this is from materials.
That's so cool.
I don't know if that'd be interesting if I grabbed my materials book and grabbed Google Translate and actually said that.
Mhm.
But that'd be interesting. I'd be like, oh, okay. But yeah, so this is Kunzite's page. Always, it feels like a spectacle bar. I like this though, this cape.
The cape is beautiful.
But it's interesting because look, you have this uniform and then you have this.
Yeah, so was that like prototype 1 and then the final?
It could have been, or this was him when they were in the castle.
Oh, like their past lives. That could be. I could see that happening.
But I was trying to see if they had a panel with him and Zoisite in it, but they really don't. What I was looking for was if Crystal, because if I remember correctly, him and Venus actually run into each other while watching over the princess because she like has a flashback or something.
She has a flashback or Ace has a flashback in the Sailor V manga where he sees Kunzite and Venus together. Is that the one you're thinking of?
I'm not sure because I think it was in Crystal.
Oh, it was in Crystal? Okay, then I'm not sure.
I thought there was a moment of them seeing one another.
Oh,
It
all
could
the
just be
kings
me.
and the scouts? Because I know there's that moment where the scouts all have that recollection moment.
Could be. That could be what I'm thinking of. And everybody was like, wait, what? And I was like, Crystal just confirmed it, which is interesting. And I'm like, come on. Why do you do this to us? Like I said, Crystal took a very interesting take on things because the first season did not follow the manga
No.
the way it was supposed to. The rest of the seasons did. But season 1, it was very much one of those things where people were like, hey, what's going on? And Kunzite definitely was one of those things too. Now, for Kunzite we've already talked about Kunzite and Zoisite. Kunzite with Sailor Venus is a very big thing.
Ooh, I feel like it's very unknown a bit in the 90s anime because they didn't play it up. But in the rest of the mediums, it's huge.
Except for PGSM.
Except for PGSM. You're right.
PGSM, it wasn't really there.
Somehow.
Like I said, it was her and Zoisite that were very close. There was very much romantic notion between her and Zoisite in PGSM. But with the 90s anime, there wasn't there. Crystal, of course, did it because of the art. But Zoisite, as I say, Kunzite and Venus has always been a very big shift from the beginning. It might be just because they're leaders,
Yes.
but I'm also mad because I thought there was a scene with her talking to Kunzite in Crystal.
I don't remember it.
I'm
I
gonna have
need to
to.
rewatch
I
Crystal.
have to rewatch Crystal. I have the Blu-rays. I think they're Blu-rays. I have to go double check because when I when I won the Sailor Moon cosplay competition,
Mhm.
they gave me all of the seasons up to Supers on Blu-ray.
That's amazing.
That was one of my prizes.
Oh, actually, look over in my notes on the far side
Mhm.
and then under Kunzite. I forgot I took
Oh,
it. Thank
oh
you,
God.
Sailor Denzel, for helping me on my notes, by the way. Shout out to you. You're awesome.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot I took notes. Oh, yeah. His death. I forgot about his death. Is so good.
His death in what? The
Where he's outjoined Zoisite. That is
Yeah.
so beautifully done. I was like, I
I
know,
liked you.
you're a jerk, but I kind of want you to be happy in the afterlife.
Yeah. Because Zoisite's dead. You got 2 puppy Sundays. Oh my God, they don't deserve it. Dogs don't deserve anything. Because at that point, Zoisite has died and has disappeared into flower petals.
Is it?
And then when Kunzite dies, he's I will be with Zoisite. I'm like, excuse me? Don't make me feel feelings for you. I don't appreciate it. I don't want to feel bad about the fact you're dying. Oh yeah, he doesn't have a civilian identity ever.
No, the others all have a civilian identity, but characteristically, Kunzite does not.
I'm like trying to remember some of this stuff.
I know. I took extensive notes, but I'm off my game tonight.
I'm like reading your manga notes and I'm like, oh,
I know. They're extensive. Thank you, Sailor Denzel, again.
like I forgot how he died. And then I'm reading here how
Yeah,
How
should we
he
read
died.
out some of this?
it's just once Mamoru was brought back to life, Kunzite's spirit shows up and tells Mamoru how to defeat Metalia after his gemstone shatters.
Which is so sad.
But he still gets the pocket rocks because he
I
still has them
know.
after the whole barrel thing.
He gets to keep them.
He does get to talk to the generals afterwards. You do see moments in the manga where you'll see like the heads of the generals,
Loki, shut up.
the heads of the generals like floating there
Yes, just
like Zordon from Power Rangers.
yes.
And he's like talking to them. So again, I don't understand why they can't be reborn if their spirits are still in the fucking rocks.
Because Queen Serenity said no.
So did Usagi, because Usagi could do it too.
That's true. Usagi could have brought them back at any time from what we
Yep.
know.
She sure could have. And
Even
she
if-
doesn't. I'm like, she doesn't want Mamoru to have friends. She's like, no, because then he'll do boys' night and then
Yep.
never be home.
Because in
And I'm-
Crystal, even we could have seen it. Or
Because they are boys. They're like, oh, gross. Only the magical
magical.
girls get reborn. I'm like, well, shit, I'd be fucked.
Oh.
Yeah, but Kunzite like him, but he didn't. He got a little bit more story in Crystal,
Is it
I feel like, because they were like mentioning shit. Hallucinogenic.
pocket rocks? That is how they are.
But I'm trying to remember the storyline he had in PGSM because there was a point in the storyline where has memory loss and he has to be reawakened because he was like a rich guy in a house by himself
Yeah.
and he had to be reawakened
This just makes me want to watch PGSS more.
because that's how he came to be. Because I don't think Kunzite was there in the beginning. He had to be awakened as Kunzite,
Let's see.
if I remember correctly. I'm like, it was a very interesting storyline for him. PGSM
Kunzite-
gave him. Go ahead.
Kunzite does get turned from being a human, according to my notes. And memories of the past life were much closer to the surface, which made more tension with Mamo. And Kunzite especially blamed him.
Mm-hmm. The whole thing. He was like,
For the
this is
whole
your
thing.
fault.
Yeah.
He was like, this
blamed
is your
Mamo.
fault this happened because you decided to follow your dick to the Moon Princess and you abandoned us. And oh my God.
Is it?
I was like, Bro, you could have gotten Venus. Shut up. You weren't alone. You could have grabbed a Sailor Scout. You could have had a relationship too. But he was awakened from a human. If I'm remembering correctly, yes?
I think so. I know we're both looking at my notes like, what?
We're like, there's just so many different medias where we're like,
I know, it's trying to keep
what?
everything straight, which left.
But like I said, I remember him being in a house and like they had to wake him up. Basically, it's gays versus lesbians. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking it up right now. I'm like, hold on. That's it. He did. He was human to begin with. They
Okay.
meet him when he's still human and he's called Shin.
Okay. That was it.
And Usagi's, oh, I want to help him because he doesn't remember who he is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he ends up, Queen Beryl awakens Shin as Kunzite.
Okay.
And Mamoru watches the awakening and he tells Usagi that Shin had to leave because he recovered his memories and he was going back home.
Oh.
Look at Mamoru being a lying little cunt.
Hey.
And Zoisite attempts to bring back the memories because, remember, Zoisite is the one who remembers. He remembers that they were the prince's guard and stuff like that.
Sora says not the first time. Not the first time for what context, Sora? Sorry.
For PGSM?
For BGSM? There's so many mediums. That's why I'm like, I can't remember.
Because that's what they're saying. That's how he shows up.
Oh, okay. On the Sailor Moon thingamajig.
Yeah. And he's the one who turned
Oh.
another Mercury to Dark Mercury. Oh. Right. Mamoru is a lying cunt. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Except Manga Mamoru.
Manga Mamoru is different.
Manga Mamoru is safe from my criticism. All other Mamorus will be criticized and then drawn and quartered. Because they all sucked. So when Zoisite is attempting to actually bring back Kunzite's memories in PGSM, something happens, and what Kunzite remembers, he remembers Endymion, but also what Endymion did. And he makes it his mission to get revenge on Endymion because he felt the prince threw Earth away for Serenity.
Please be careful.
And he's the one who makes Dark Mercury.
Is it?
Because he has the power to turn soldiers into a Yoma.
Oh, okay.
And he does it by, he used his own energy to corrupt Ami. Dark Mercury.
That's so good.
I remember. That's not what I wanted to do, but okay. Let's see if I can bring it up. Okay. But look how handsome he is. And then there's Dark Mercury in front of him, who had the most amazing fucking outfit.
Dark Mercury.
Because it was like dark blue butterflies. And I'm like, Dark Mercury was so good in PGSM. Also, she got like sexified hair. Like she was all like sexy. And she was like, I'm a better Sailor Scout than the rest of you.
So good.
And then I love just the PGSM fucking, their costume department, except for Serenity, was fantastic.
Look at those shoulder pads.
But also look at his nice wig and this right here. They had like a little crown on him, and then like all of these details on his thing. This is actually, looks like dragon hide.
Oh yeah.
When you look up close on the picture. Unfortunately, I cannot zoom in. Wait, maybe I can.
Oh yeah, yes you can. Look at
Looks
that.
like dragon hide, which is really cool.
That's neat. All the budgeting went into their costumes.
And then here's Dark Mercury, who just, I love her. Her outfit was fantastic. Her character was just fantastic. Honestly, I think they did Dark Mercury because they didn't want to do Evil Mamoru.
Yeah. Which 10 out of 10 change.
Yeah, I will take Dark Mercury anyway. Every day. Just She had such a fantastic character. But she was also, like I said, Kunzite's the one who made her. In that, he's so handsome. Even though I love Zoisite, but Kunzite's actor is a very handsome man. Yeah, Dark Mercury was
Chef's kiss.
I don't know what else I have about Kunzite.
No, I was like, looking over the notes, I think we covered everything. So shall we talk about maybe what we would have liked to have seen if they had continued on, or where we would have liked to have seen them?
I would have liked to see. I've already said what I've loved to see. My end game would have been they showed up during Galaxia. They helped where they were supposed to. Like, they went to go guard Chibiusa and Sailor Moon. They died because everybody died except for Usagi. And then I would have liked to see them, like, at the wedding escorting the scouts.
That would have been so cute.
Because Mamoru didn't have anyone. Like, he didn't have any groomsmen.
No, yeah, because he had no friends.
Okay, hold on. Loki's coming.
And when you think about it, how sad is that, like, on Mamo's side, there's literally no one. Sorry, guys, just a sec.
This is what happens in my house all the time. There's no peace. Only dogs. Yeah, but he had no friends. Like, nobody was there. Like, in any of the pictures of the wedding or anything, it's just the girls.
And Andy. Don't forget Andy. Isn't Andy there? I thought he's there and he catches the bouquet in pgsm. Yeah, he catches the bouquet. Turtle Boy.
Oh, you're talking about pgsm. That's different.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 1 and 2.
You just see him running by, and I'm like, you're so stupid. And you should hear him, because you can hear it throughout the whole house, because he gallops.
Oh, that's
Hear him galloping. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I forgot that he does catch the bouquet.
Yeah.
That's really his only friend, but that's pgsm. In the 90s, in the anime and the manga, he has, what's his name? Like Mitsuki or something? I just know him as Andy.
Yeah, I just know him as Andy.
Had him as a friend, but he's not there for the wedding. It's just Mamu and the girls.
That's so sad. Matoki, thank you.
Yeah, Matoki's not there. And you don't really see a lot of Matoki past a certain point. He just stops showing up in the manga. No, I'm still eating that. But go ahead and take it. It's like, no, I'm still eating that. There's Stella. So I think it's sad. I would have liked for them to be there so that Mamo had friends. Like,
and also for the scouts to have love interest. Like,
yeah.
They could have filled so many roles that I feel like are missing in Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm. There just wasn't enough. And I understand, like, it's Magical Girl, but there wasn't enough male presenting people that weren't, like, enemies or something like that. You just have Mamo. And I'm sad about that. I'm like, I understand it's Magical Girl, but a lot of the other Magical Girls have other guys in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very isolating. I was saying earlier, I think Mamo was very isolated. And it doesn't allow, because of that isolation, it doesn't allow him to have a very well-rounded character.
Mm-hmm.
Probably why they made him such a dick in the 90s anime.
He had no other character.
Yeah, he had no character. He really doesn't, though. He's very much belly on the ground, worshiping the ground that Usagi walks on. Like, and I don't mind that, but I feel the Kings would have added a better element to him. I think even though it's Magical Girl, having boys there reflects the girl's life. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Like in real life.
Yeah, totally.
It didn't give us that little bit of slice of life that should have been there. It was very much very action packed.
I just wanted to let you read out Sora's comment. My theory, he didn't have family, so he was used to isolating, and Usagi starts to break him out of his shell.
Yeah. Still sad. Like, why couldn't he have been like no parents, but he meets the 4 kings? Come on.
Don't take everybody away. But Usagi.
So many fillers and very little slice of life, yeah.
Yeah.
They would, like I said, they would have filled a very important role. It would have rounded out a couple things. They were mean to Mamo in the 90s anime. There's a reason why I ship Seiya and Usagi, because I hate 90s anime Mamo. He carries them around in his pocket like Paul's pocket.
My God.
Oh my God. And there was no reason for it other than to make him tragic. And again, why does it have to be tragic? I did like his 90s Snark in the English version. He was very snarky. Bit of an ass, but he was snarky and I liked it. But I think that's where I would have liked to see it. I think we would have had a much more rounded cast.
It would have added an extra element that I would have liked to have seen.
And I think more people would have had more connections with people. Because it would have showed a lot more.
And yet in Crystal, they almost give it to us and then they take it away.
Because I don't know why. I would like to know. I would love to question why they took that route and who was in charge of, oh, we're just going to let the kings live. Isn't this supposed to be a manga adaptation? They don't live past the points you made them live past. It was very clunky in Crystal. And like I said, the way they died, it just felt like an afterthought. They're like, oh yeah, we got to kill these fuckers. Let's throw a rock on the pocket rocks. So you put enough pressure, things become a diamond sort of thing. There was even the weird moment in Crystal. And it's the episode with the princess who's supposed to have the silver crystal. It's the one where like Usagi and Tuxedo Mask fall off the balcony. They're looking across the balconies, and on the rooftop, the 4 kings show up and are standing there. And it's the weirdest thing because they don't ever do that. And I remember freaking out because I was like, wait, why are those fuckers alive? Because I think it was Jadeite and Nephrite were still alive. And I was like, why are the 4 kings standing together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Naoko, because she even like in the materials collection wrote these notes on them, but then didn't expand on these characters. I'm like, why would you take all of this time if you were just gonna kill them? That or she just didn't want to draw them.
Maybe she got tired of them.
That or she just didn't want to draw extra people because she already had 10 Sailor Scouts to draw.
It is a big cast.
I don't know if that's the reason. She never says that, or her agent said
no.
Does she struggle with drawing males? Not that I've seen.
She draws them really well to me.
Yeah. She likes to draw women more. That's definitely a thing. She definitely doesn't struggle with males because she helps with the drawings for Hunter, for her husband.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Like she does male characters. Are they very pretty? Absolutely. Who cares? But she doesn't struggle with them, but we don't see them much.
No. I know. We got any other comments or questions from the audience? Yeah, she is definitely more passionate about female fashion.
No. Yeah, not all parts of world building is going to show up. It's often not even known outside of the author. That's my theory anyway. It's true.
That's a good theory.
Because they even, like, when I write, they were like, yeah, you can do all these beautiful backstories for people. That doesn't mean it's going to show up in your writing because it might just hinder it. All this stuff. And you can reveal it later to people that, hey, this is the tragic past of this person. This is why they act this way. But I will never go in depth in my story about why.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you hints, maybe. So yeah, that is a thing. They even tell you, they're like, you can write these huge elaborate background stories for your characters. You're not going to put it all into your writing.
Oh, that's an interesting theory, Loki. Maybe she was going to reuse them, but agent pressured her otherwise. Yeah, there's a lot to Sailor Moon we don't.
There's so many loose ends on Sailor Moon. It's actually insane. And Naoko has not made a point to ever try to wrap any of those loose ends up that people ask. She's just like, yep. And we're all like, what? That's not an answer. But okay.
It's not an answer, Naoko. What?
She did just do new art for the museum, though.
Oh, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, she may have not had an answer to it. It's
Yeah.
true. She could just be like, just because I wanted to. And I'm
Yeah.
like, fair. I would do the same thing.
All right. We have about 5 minutes left, so shall we wrap up?
All right, guys. This brings us to the end of our show. Thank you for joining us for the 4th episode of season 3. We'll be going on our next Mooney adventure April 16th from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. The topic of the night will be Sailor Mars, and our guest will be Chiara. For that, just so you guys know ahead of time, I do have my surgery on the 25th of March. Depending on how I feel, whether or not I really want to do it, because Sailor Mars has some shit in manga that I would love to talk about. If not, I think Loki said they might step in for me. So if you do not see me in April's episode, there's a reason. I will only be like 3 weeks out for my surgery, I think. Something like that. So I hope to be here. I might not be here. We'll see how we feel it. Oh, look, there's Artemis.
Well, Artemis came in the kit.
He's so handsome.
Artemis.
He loves him. He's been very sweet lately. As always, make sure you are following our socials. That's where Michi posts everything. Michi
All
is
the
very
stuff.
good about it. Michi is very on all those things to make sure you guys are always up to date. So make sure you check our link tree in our description. We've got everything there, or the QR code up on the screen. Yeah, just best way to figure out anything that we're doing.
Yes, especially I post to our Instagram story a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm usually tagged in that too. So if you ever want to see my Sailor Moon cosplays, you can do that.
Yes.
And then I'm Azira. I'm so happy you guys were here tonight. These are my socials. Pretty much everything is at Azira_witch. Like I said, I'm hoping to be here at next month's episode, but if I am not feeling well, there's our reason. I'll be back in May if I am not here next month.
For my birthday episode.
So we'll see how I'm feeling. I'm a little nervous. Artemis, please. He's like, okay, fine, I'll walk away. Look at my butt.
Look at the butt. You'll be fine.
I'm very nervous, but yeah, this is good for me, and I love you guys.
All right,
So
and
go
then
ahead.
me? Okay. And as always, I have been your host, Michi. You can find my personal socials. Hey, I actually updated my socials, go me, at MEW21, some _cosplay, some space cosplay, but I got them all down there. For Eternal Mooncast, we're a Twitch and YouTube exclusive platform. Previously recorded content of our show comes out Moony Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern. I do post if we don't have an episode for that week. I don't believe we have an episode coming up Monday, but then this episode will come out the Monday after. For Bishoujo Senshi Slumber Party, the reactions are up for free on our Patreon to the Deep Dub, and the next discussion episode will be coming out March 30th. We appreciate any likes, comments, follows, or however you would like to support our show in your own way. We do read all the comments on YouTube. As a quick reminder, these are just our personal opinions, and we celebrate all respectful Mooney opinions here. We are working hard on the show to be a place for Moonies to come together and discuss their theories and love and passion for Sailor Moon. Remember, as Princess Serenity once said, Endymion will transcend time to live again. Perhaps this time we'll find happiness. Good night.
Hey, everyone.